things have gone wrong. Is there anyone out there somewhere whose word is not for sale? History shows that our collective determination will help justice prevail. In 3, 2, 1. I don't care back if they hate me after I uncover the truth. The world needs all but sunshine, and the moment shall be mine. In these troublesome times. This is Troublesome Times. Unscripted, unedited, all done in one take. Because it's so easy, right? Since everyone else has a podcast, I might as well have one too. And I sound quite a bit different right now. Seem a little off. I literally just came back from Japan, and the flight that I ended up taking took a lot longer than usual. I think I've been awake for a total amount of a day, and sleeping on a plane is quite different from laying down in my bed. I don't know if I could just stand up and just record it, but you know what? I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try right now, because even though I had quite a blast in Japan, it was beyond what I expected. And what I decided to do, right, funny enough, right before I did it, I guess this is where I do the big reveal. So, starting the year, I officially done 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, 100 squats, and what feels like a 10-kilometer meter run every single day for a year. And here's the thing, I didn't do it right off the bat, okay? If you know anything about fitness and working out, you kind of really can't, or your body will be screaming and hating and cursing you out for the rest of the week. So I always wanted to do it ever since I first watched it, like almost 8 years ago. I even remembered making a hot take on my personal Facebook how Saitama, One Punch Man, is the greatest superhero. And I even remembered how One Punch Man, or Saitama, or however you call him, would actually respects Moomin Rider, even though he's a C-ranked hero. And I always wanted to do that workout to give it a shot. And the thing is, there's like so many delays. So I was in let's see. Yeah, so people didn't really want to try it. They didn't see their need for it. So I guess I'll eventually gonna need someone that's gonna match my working out vibes and all that. It's kind of weird because I think at this point I'm too like advanced to be a beginner at this point. So I remembered who I first said this to, who eventually got the nickname from my buddy's Hunter, the Hunter. And so I said, I'm gonna do 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, 100 squats, and a 10-kilometer run every day. But in November, I'm gonna officially do it in the beginning of the year. That's what I said. But I know that if I have to get back to working out, I have to do like a little so this is like a little practice run these last 2 months. And so it actually ended up becoming fascinating. Like then eventually I got some of the young adults or the teenagers, they actually started going to Planet Fitness too and all that. I don't know if that's I'm going to say that's a coincidence, but I remembered that when I was, since, I don't really do, like, I can do, like, a gym, don't get me wrong. I can do, like, LA Fitness, Planet Fitness, Anytime Fitness, if I get super rich and afford it, and a pool included. I could do all that. I always preferred the scenic route. So then, I'm thinking, how am I going to actually pull this off? Like, I know I can, and maybe I just have to find time. I did find ways. So, did I do it? The first time I tried getting back into it, like my very first day, I think I ended up doing 120. And I ended up, like, pass face down in my bed. And then the next day, I still ended up working. And they were like, I guess they were kind of wondering why I was doing these funny little dances. Like, I don't know. Anyone ever does that little fatigue where you have to do something and then the muscle soreness and all that? Like, that's kind of what I ended up doing. Like, I think I kind of ended up being unleashing my inner Michael Jackson that day. Or like when the one time I had to stand on my tippy toes. I know there's like a workout fitness for that I unintentionally ended up doing. Let me see what it's called. Who even does? Who even keeps tracks of these? Move on. So yeah, I know. So rat. See, so who knew animation would actually make you want to work out? I think it'd be like the what I ended up doing one day was called the heel raise. Sometimes I do that in some of my pictures and videos to get like really, really good shots. So I remember doing that, and then I remember thinking my ankles were screaming and cursing me out that day too. So after a while, like once you do it, see, here's the thing about a lot of people don't know about this is kind of like why it kind of gets me heated, like my blood boiling whenever I see like those clips of laughing at people who are working out, because if you really, really pay attention, oh, I'm finally getting up now. If you really pay attention, if you know anything about fitness, those are actually people who are like amateurs, who are beginners, who then this is a misconception. I wouldn't recommend giving it in all your all. I wouldn't do it at your most extreme, because it's very easy to really, really get sore that way and to just want to give up. Trying to go all out, like all the One Punch Mans and the Batmans and Supermans that you like, whatever, or the Spider-Man too. So what really, well, if you do this long enough, you end up going through this process called progressive overload, meaning that you think you have to do that now, you end up having to do more the longer you do it, as you do it. So I guess this is the thing a lot of people are wondering. Yes, you can. It is possible to do the One Punch Man workout. No, it is not an easy workout. I remember, like, I was trying to do it, like, in between, and then I would keep tallies to make sure I would actually do all the 100 put sit-ups, 100 push-ups, and 100 squats. I remember, yeah, 100 push-up, 100 squats, and not the 6 mile one. I think that one automatically did. I don't know, especially with all the shopping hauls I ended up doing sometimes, at least once a week. So I remembered I kept a tally to make sure I really stuck to it, because otherwise, here's the thing, like One Punch Man Saitama claims that he does this every day, right? So if I ended up breaking that cycle at all, then it would actually not be a very effective experiment. It wouldn't be like very helpful at all. You know what I'm saying? So I remember keeping a tally, making sure I did it that day. And then like, I remember seeing like, eventually behind me, other people were keeping tallies for me. I'm like, what in the heck? How did I get to that point in my life where people don't realize I'm doing the One Punch Man workout? Maybe they eventually figured it out. The more I kept saying it, and the more I kept tallies of it, and then the more they kept trying to do it. So, yeah, anyway. So, I guess to answer this question, when you go into Japan, you need to be hydrated, because when you're in Tokyo, it's not just the fact that, it's a long walk, and it's a pretty steep climb, because everybody takes the subway. It's also the fact that it never stops. I mean, if you take 1 second to breathe, it seems like you disrupt the whole flow, even if you don't really know it. So right now, actually, I was going to have just a big gulp, but accidental ASMR. But I figured if I'm going to have a drink, I'm going to be here and talking to you guys, I might as well just bring a Slurpee. So I am having a Coke and blue raspberry slushy mix. So that is like a very totally effortless segue into my next topic of my trip to Tokyo. So, no lie, we were in, I believe it was Nihonbashi, that's where it was. Yeah, the hotel, and literally right next to us, like just like across the street, but in the way the streets work, It's like a minute away. Like you take like maybe 5 steps at most and you're there. We were like literally pretty much next to a 7-Eleven, like right across. I wouldn't say right across because it's too close to be. We were so close to 7-Eleven, and it is true. It is unlike any other 7-Elevens here. And that's because they have pretty much everything you need in Japan. And then you kind of realize later on, like, one, all the convenience stores are like that. They're all decked out. Whatever you want. You need food, you need water, you need a snack, you need an emergency kit. It's pretty much there. Everything but Slurpees, it seems like. But that's okay. That's kind of like the convenience store near me, too. So it's kind of like that in a way. Who knew? I didn't think it would be that close. Like, but whatever, right? It was pretty awesome, actually, trying to see that. Like, funny enough, all the convenience store food was better, and I didn't think the prices were that bad considering what we got. And I guess, like, I went with only one other person that I should cherish as long as she's alive. My mom. But sometimes, like, there is nothing more petty than a mom knowing that she's right. I will say that right now. That's my hot take. There's nothing more petty than a mom that knows that she is right. And I felt pretty high key embarrassed whenever she would quote share her thoughts, as we'll politely say. And this is Japan, and I guess she was not expecting that pretty much anything to eat here in Japan was rice, noodles, and meat. And steak is a luxury, and all the meat was sliced. But you know what? The taste is really good. So, right nearby is a Pokemon store, the DX Center. So, that was, since we were there and the location was convenient, I decided that I wanted to go there because as much as I would love to do I know there was like Pokemon everywhere. And I figured if I was going to get Pokemon, I might as well get the official thing brand new from the official store. And let's say it was pretty cool. I love that no, when I say anything, I mean literally anything. I mean, they even had trading cards that were like for $1 there. A pack of trading cards for $1. And if I could read it better, I would totally do that. So, I went to the bookstore too. But plenty on that later. I went to, and yeah, the Pokemon store is pretty awesome to say the least. It was pretty popular. I was gonna get Pikachu, but I already won a Pikachu at Dave and Buster's, and I know it would have been funny to do like that one episode of Pokemon where all the Pikachus are all like just having a blast with each other, but I don't really think I think it would be kind of frowned upon to get more than one Pikachu, especially when it's everywhere in Japan. And gosh, I am really glad that I had a mother who had the sense to tell me to buy things that are practical and that I don't already have and don't have to hide behind the excuse by going to some tourist trapped theme park where and buy like 5 bags full of merch from that theme park. I want plenty of things. You know, it's weird because thought I was gonna buy more when I was in Japan, and I did. But some of that stuff was just like way too cherish to do that. But I picked. There was like a lot of Pokemon I could have picked because there's like a lot that I really like. I mean, I think any would have been good for me. Even like even that one. Let me make sure I got that one right because like there is like two that are pretty similar, and I want the one that the one Pokemon. Let me see, Ditto. Yeah, I would have actually liked Ditto too, but Piplup or Teddy Russ or actually a Squirtle or a Charmander. But I decided, like, it's kind of weird because like I was thinking to myself, like, I remember playing this game whenever I have time to go out and touch grass. My hot take was like, oh, like I think like my dog Courage, who I like sometimes when people say she is a bad pet, I always think to myself, you know what? Having a Pokemon as a pet would be much worse because of how destructive they are. They're excellent for fighting and making the rest of the Pokemon faint to win Pokedollars, right? Or yen, or however it's called. But let's be real, having them as domestic pets would be a hot mess, like a disaster, like a train wreck waiting to happen. And I remembered Charmander, very, very cute Pokemon. Probably one of the cutest Pokemon ever, Squirtle. But I think it would be kind of terrifying leaving Charmander alone in my house while I'm away. And they're thinking, why? And I'm thinking, and I say, his tail is on fire! And whenever he's upset, he'll breathe fire! My house will be gone when I come back. And then I guess Ditto too, because Ditto, it would be like a puddle. I might accidentally flush him down like the drain while I'm taking a shower or something like that. And then of course we got, and then Pikachu would electrocute me or cause a blackout in my house. So as fun as it is to have Pokemon as fighters, maybe that's why they're in the Pokeball, so that they don't end up being domestic pets and ending up like ruining your house and leaving you inadvertently homeless. Maybe that's the real reason Pokemon or in Pokeballs. Well, I know the reason is like, to make sure they're safe, but and they're fine. And of course, according to the anime, they're like living out their life. So why would they be in our boring ass houses anyway? But are we sure that's the actual reason? Are we sure it's just to make sure that they don't that we're safe from them? I never really thought about it that way. I mean, now even back when I was like a toddler in that home daycare, and then and then the one girl that was living there, the teenage daughter, like she would like actually like you don't get scared of these Pokemon. They're gonna be fine. It's like, I think my favorite. I think I'd still say my Pikachu. So the one I did pick was end up being Score Bunny. Right, my pardon. Right, it's funny. I've done this enough times and I haven't eaten. Like, I don't think that's right, but I definitely need a drink because, talking like this after a while can really do a number on you. So I ended up picking Score Bunny because, like, I guess that ended up becoming a new nickname for me. And I really didn't like, I didn't expect that to go viral, believe it or not, because if you know anything about, and like, I guess I'm going to be honest here, like, the reason, like, I wouldn't say, I guess the best way to describe it is that, yes, so is taboo for a number of reasons, including all this will eventually be addressed in the form of entertainment, but it's kind of more like also, I guess the best way to describe it is like, it's kind of one of those things that seem like kind of like defying the odds, impossible thing. Or like, the obvious one is like, just like kind of a soft blacklist, low-key blacklist, or soft ban kind of topic to do. But I will say that I really like, it's just very easy when you really, really are having somebody that, you started off, my kind of online figure status is more underground, more niche. And so, like, seeing, like, someone's, like, suddenly, you start out at the same time, they're suddenly, like, a lot bigger than you. It's kind of like, I still stand by that it is, like, friendly competition. But for me, I'd say it's kind of more like, what can I do that made it work, and how can it work for me in a way? You know what I'm saying? Obviously, my style is very different for a number of reasons, for obvious reasons. And yeah, I know it's very easy to. I know it's like it's very obvious. I should dislike people for obvious reasons, right? But I always get the feeling that when you're doing this thing long enough as I do, on the side, low key, not anymore really. You kind of realize there's a lot there. You don't know. Not everybody knows the whole story, and a lot of times because like they don't know like what how it works, like what it takes to be cut out for this. So yeah, so all that aside, I eventually kind of can determine like like where you guys stand by. And so I guess a lot of you do think I guess I'll take it. Like I guess a lot of people do believe that, like, I guess one of my new nicknames is Score Bunny. And Score Bunny is like, pretty awesome Pokemon, so I'll take it. It's pretty unique. And I guess a lot of people do like it anyway, so plus, like I say, I like Pokemon. I could do that, all that stuff. And, it's just kind of, I'm sure, like, it was pretty fun for, all that stuff. This was a great experience, having to be in the Pokemon store and getting a Score Bunny that fits my vibe. So, that's why I got the Pokemon, right? Really long-winded, I know. I ended up doing quite a lot of stuff. I was in Akihabara shortly after. And then I actually went to all 8 floors of one of them. If I can still remember the name, because I ended up going to so many. And it was called... I know it was called... I know if I... I'm sorry, there's just so many places I went to in a short amount of time. So, I went to all of the floors for Radio Kaikan. I might be saying that. And actually, I ended up doing like a little crossover with the YouTuber that did shorts. I mean, I kind of like... I felt bad, like, interrupting like their little filming process. I mean, it was pretty small. But we'll get more into that. And so I ended up taking pictures of all the stuff. I did ended up getting a figurine. And it was pretty awesome. And then I went to Super Potato. And oh my god, seeing all of those Nintendo games in its original form, in its original language, was wild. Oh my god, it was like seeing a part of history. It's kind of weird because I know video games technically have their own history. And, for me, video games do count as animation because characters that gotta move. I mean, it's pretty obvious. So, seeing like this small part of where it all began is pretty awesome. All of these retro games. And so, I then, so I went through it little by little. I went to Dream Labs, and holy smokes, it is one of the best places I've ever been to. I think I've been to Madame Tussauds in London and Vegas. I went to Paris. I went to London twice and went all out on both times. I went to Mexico and Guatemala and Belgium. Belgium chocolate has nothing on Belgium chocolate here, which is so good. Belgium chocolate. I went to Belgium. I went to Germany, Switzerland, Austria, and Czech. Let's see, let me double check. I went to like a day or two, but I still count it. I went to Did I say Germany yet? Yeah, let me see. Yes, that's Czech. Oops, my bad. Yeah, so I went to pretty much all of Europe, and then I went to the Dominican Republic recently and the Bahamas. And I have to say, I've been to a lot of places so far, and Dream Labs has to be one of the best. It's like, it felt like the best science museum ever. Like the world's greatest science museum. It was interactive. It was excellent. And oh my god, like, I just couldn't. It was a sight. Like, I don't even think taking videos and pictures does it justice. So, then, shortly after, was this on the same day? I'm gonna check this. So, here's the weird thing that happened, because we ended up having a reservation. I had a Mandela effect, and when I looked up the robot restaurant, it took me to one, but it ended up not being the one I was thinking of, because when I realized, like, how they were doing it, I'm like, wait, this isn't in the video I remembered. And I didn't go to Robot Restaurant because it was gone by the time there. I did go to Avatar Robot Cafe, And it was very awesome. So basically, you go in there, the robots serve you, and the robots talk to you, but they're spoken through humans who are pretty much unable to leave their houses and interact. And it was pretty awesome, to say the least. And weirdly enough, the robot I got, is also like to game and watch anime. So actually had us like quite a bit of ideas. And so I don't want to spoil anything yet what we said, because there was otherwise it's gonna give like something away what I'm working on, because I think just saying Dawn Avatar Robot Cafe alone is kind of like what I also challenge like my audience to find these clues, and I think if I go into detail what I say, it's probably gonna give like a huge part of what I'm working on away. And I gotta say, you're probably thinking, what would happen? And that's kind of gonna be a very interesting challenge. I do like, because I think I'm gonna have to do some new looks too, because it's kind of weird, right? Isn't it kind of weird how like it's weird. I really was not gonna expect to do anything. I don't really like to make the same stuff over and over again unless I really, really need to. And so it was kind of weird, because like when I was trying to get feedback for this concept, when it starts in its draft stage, it wasn't really gonna like start off from the first, but a lot of people wanted like the pretty much people to stay there, because it seemed like a lot of things had to be addressed that are still not being addressed. Like, it's kind of weird, right? Having like make this video that making on popular stuff, it's viral and going away. And so I'm sorry, it's just been a long day, just running around and all that, and just passing out and whatever. And so I felt like now part of this is like, is it possible that we are no longer going to be cut out to make quality videos or anything for you? And so that's going to be like this thing. Like, it's technically probably going to be another main project that I'm going to be doing. I'm probably going to start soon. Right now, I got like a concert to go to. It's Mission Gun Kelly. And why am I going? Because it's like really close. I feel like something cool is going to happen there. But, I'm not going to be that disappointed if I did. It's, at least I can say, well, there's not a lot of big, like, musicians that come here, so I just had to take that chance, okay? Anyway, so we kind of both agreed, like, Kazu and I, because I also, like, asked about a lot of stuff that were in manga, so, and it's gonna be, all this is gonna happen. I'm gonna try my best. And so, I think I said like a lot of stuff related to how like what makes really, really good stuff. And I think I'm gonna say it again. I have told Kazu that I have never watched a single thing and I've been blown away by something because I expected to. I can't recall a single time where I have watched something or heard something and I expected it to blow my mind. Never. I have never went here, this thing's going to blow my mind. That has never happened. Anything that's blown my mind, I go in there, I have like no expectations, then it surprised me. And so I'm thinking, as a viewer first, that's going to be a creator, it's going to be sharing with another viewer, that we know what I want. What I want, I try to do it, and whatever, right? So I think like some of the feedback I'm getting so far is like, like, what would be the point of, repeating this over and over again, like, and all that. So I think one of the things that I think a lot of you are like, are we really this is going to be something I'm going to challenge. You guys are going to, you guys have an idea what you want, but do you know not only what you will really want, or as well as need? So, I really, really... See, here's the thing. I really don't... It's kind of weird. Because how can, like, you people... They just give something. They're like, yeah. They say, yes, no, I'll do it. And then they tell you everything that's going to be in it. And again, it's kind of like, okay, what did I expect? You told me anyway, right? That would be my thought process. So it was pretty cool to actually have that experience, and I actually said to Kazu, yeah, and I felt kind of bad because he is passive bilingual, which means he understands two languages, but he can't speak both of them. So he knew limited English, but it was but he understood me for the most part. So it's kind of weird because okay, so I guess what this is what I was really gonna actually do that little big surprise, the gotcha in anime tourist that I did speak Japanese in a way, and but somehow I guess like a lot of people were really like mind blown that I knew enough Japanese, and so like I feel like if I ended up flexing my Japanese, whatever like decent Japanese skills I had, it would like I had a feeling like there's just gonna be like a lot of tinfoiling, which is cool and all, but anyway, I guess people will be tinfoiling what I'm saying. So so this is what I said, and this is true. I should have expanded what I meant in anime tourist, but it was true what I said. I really did try to learn Japanese to try and catch up on anime and manga. This is true. This is what I would have said to the Japanese native speaker as well as the professor, the Japanese teacher, the professor, if I really did took it. That is true. However, what I forgot to expand on, because I kind of was trying to make my hot takes right there and then, it ended, this is what I said to Kazoo. I ended up going into this rabbit hole of learning about Japanese culture because once you start to learn Japanese and enough, you kind of realize there is a ton of context a lot of international readers are missing because a lot of the stuff that's inserted in Japanese culture is in anime and manga. I mean, my hot take, it's not really a hot take, it's facts. Like, your favorite anime, the anime 90% of it is from a manga or a light novel or a video game, whatever. It's an adaptation of something else. It's quite insane. So I ended up going into this rabbit hole. And so not only did I learn Japanese, but because I was missing so much context, I ended up learning about a whole new culture. And so a lot of times when people like see something that's Japanese, I'm able to like actually share whatever knowledge I know. And it mind blows people away. And I guess the question I have is like this is what a lot of my experience was like in Japan. I I spoke Japanese as best as I could. And so the locals there, the Japanese locals were stunned that I was able to. I didn't think I was that great. And then no matter how much my mom was acting, like they were actually very cool with me. They were like, they were having a good time. And it actually I eventually like it sunk in that they had people are so stuck in their ways that they have to know English at all times and they have to like I can't imagine how like frustrating that must have been. And so I believe like shortly after, because at that point, the first day we tend to wander everywhere. We were at Shosen Book Tower. And I guess part of the thing is that I went to I went to all the floors. I wanted to see what a bookstore was like. Right? Sorry, I don't know what happened. I guess I was so excited about the weather that it ended up catching up to me. I'm still at my best. So I can read Japanese. Not right away, but enough to really know like what it's saying. So before I went to all the manga shelves, what ended up happening is that I was literally, like the way the bookstores work, Shoshin Book Tower is a 10-story building, and each floor is as big as a regular bookstore in America. So I'm gonna say I don't know how many square feet it is. I'm not gonna really look it up. It was huge. And the way they stored the shelves, like, it's everywhere, shelves in between. And so that was one of the factors, is that because how manga is that, you're lucky to get at least like a huge, like at least one bookshelf that maybe takes up an entire wall, maybe up to 100 or 1,000 if you're lucky. Even like the library that I went to recently, that it's not the one near my house, but it's another one like near other places, next to another place I used to work at, and even that was big, like a lot compared to what I'm used to. But this was like uh, times like 100. All the manga and it was very different. It was much smaller, all the manga volumes, and they were wrapped in plastic, and they were under 500 yen, at least the ones I've seen. And not only that, but I was in the middle of all of this manga that must have been at least maybe over 1,000 out of the 8-story floors. And at that point, I was on the 6th floor. And all of these titles that I was trying to read, and I couldn't read it. And it was so different, and it was so shocking, and I was so overwhelmed and excited at the same time. I goat screamed in the middle of that floor. And I realized I did it, and I covered my hand for like a good solid 2 minutes. And it was knowing the fact that this is where it all came from. That one of the greatest animes around started here as a simple commodity that is a staple for a hobby in the Japan, for someone in Japan who had a long day at work and just wanted to relax in the subway. And like seeing that, and then it comes to America because a lot of people want to see it and read it and get to know it and enjoy it. It's nice seeing where that came from. And so then I ended up going to the other manga shell floor, which is which was clearly marked as for adults. But the thing is, like, their definition of adult and America's version of adult content is very different. I'm not talking about just the lewd stuff either. I'm also talking about the content. So it would surprise you that One Piece is considered for kids for some reason, for young people. So I went to the 2nd floor, and I kind of realized where I went into. Right? If I expanded more, people are definitely gonna think that I'm just being covert about it. So, but I promise you, I really didn't see it coming. And so this volume, and I have these strange challenges for myself. One of them is actually trying to find like quality and non-problematic stuff as representation. That can be Black representation, LGBT representation, female representation. It's like a challenge for me. Okay, that's why. I swear. Well, that's the family friendly reason, obviously. So, yeah, and I love that the worst role I play is like playing a innocent, naive, prude virgin. I think I stopped being that way since I was 16. But that's something that I'm keeping myself shut. So I went to the 8th floor of Shoshin Tower, right? And just by looking at it, I knew what I saw. And one of the first like manga series I got into and actually taught myself to read, because the first 12 volumes is gone in English, and it was never ever picked up by a new company, and it's not going probably never going to be because it's too long at this point. That currently is 30 volumes. And so I saw it, I looked at it, and I promised myself throughout this entire time I wouldn't cry at all. I wouldn't let anything ruin it. So everything I did right up till I got to Japan, I decided to tie up loose ends for everything. And so I saw it. I couldn't believe in my eyes, and I would have taken it with me, but it was very nice to see that. It was very nice that also that, it only takes $2 to know someone's true character. $2.75 plus tax. Someone that you really thought you could have been friends with, but they burned bridges with you. It was very nice to know that, and that they knowingly spend $2.75 for what? For just for their chance to be the one to have that title, to expose, to cancel, to be the savior, the gatekeeper, whatever you guys want to say. Every single manga volume was wrapped in plastic, and I went to, later on, Jamoko Book Town, as I believe it's called, and went to Book Hotel. I asked one of the people there. First of all, they thought I was going to buy it, and I said, why wouldn't I? I can't really read it. And I asked her why they were wrapped in plastic, and it was because they're not made to last. They can get destroyed easily in the sunlight. That's why. Even when I was like trying to open it and take pictures of it, the plastic was being torn apart. That's how sensitive they were. So it was very nice knowing from first-hand experience that someone that was saying was trying to act like my friend spent what that $2.75 there for sale. It was really nice knowing that, and it was very nice knowing that being like a filthy American, as some might say, a guy called Kujin, as some may refer me as, it's nice knowing that, apparently that, just because there's a language barrier, that, you believe that you have the voice of an entire nation that is indifferent to the majority of stuff, unless and it has a term for Meiwa, and has that have better things to deal with, more important things to deal with. It is nice knowing that, knowing from first-hand experience, what you, and it's very nice knowing that some people are for sale. And I know it just looking at my own eyes firsthand and just being there. And then it also made me think, would that have been me? So it actually got me seeing people in a lot of different ways that I didn't see coming. And it would be nice to say, yeah, sure, anime betrayal arc, especially since I've interacted like multiple times. But, what kind of friend would knowingly like omit information and just rely on it to trust and not just like be straight up like that? That's what I'd like to say. And this isn't about like anybody in particular, believe it or not. This is like the whole fact that I felt like I was being respected. And once I knew like the whole scope of everything, I didn't feel respected at all. So that shed a whole new light for plenty of people. So so then I ended up being like very like mind blown by Shoshin Book Tower that at 2 a.m. I actually decided to do like I wanted that moment where like the devil is a part-timer. Unfortunately, they were 24 hours, but they didn't open any tables until 5 a.m. So I was actually sitting on the bottom of the stairs of a McDonald's having some fries and a Coke float, probably, and just, being just trying to deal with everything I've seen from all the original manga in its original way. And I was staring at it and I was just thinking, oh, people, don't ask me what I did last night. Just because, like, it's nice knowing that something that you know waiting takes a while, but when it finally happens, something you've wanted since you were in your adolescence, it really hits. I went to more than one bookstore, and I actually like knew by looking at it just like what the titles were, so I ended up taking one for my friend. Oh, and I'm reading a bunch of stuff. I went to another store. It was very awesome, seeing all the cool stuff that was there. And for some reason, there was like a Death Note display and it had all this merch. I guess they're celebrating the 20th anniversary. I wanted everything. Like, don't get me wrong, but I but I can't. I still can't read the manga like now. And having all this stuff there, and so I figured, okay, I'll buy it. Because it's there, it's awesome. But I got plenty of stuff I would want as there. But it was nice having like L around. Like I still have my L Death Note shirt hiding there. I was just clearing out my closet the other day and it's still there and it surprisingly still fits. And God knows where I left my L keychains, but it's fine, it's fine. I'm really glad I actually did something I wanted to, but it was really cool seeing all those manga bookshelves. I went to Shibuya Crossing and I really didn't want to be there because I know where it's there, and it's Hachi, which is a Shiba Inu, and it was very awesome seeing Shibuya Crossing. And so I is it the thing is like I saw the movie way like I think like almost 8 years ago, just like I saw One Punch Man. And so I really love this story, but it gives me too much feels, especially when I have courage. And I tell people now, like I really don't really watch dog movies as much as I really want to anymore because I get too much feels. See, and people really don't like they think they get it, but they don't really get the full like feeling. I say, look, it's one thing to really have feels for a dog. It's another to have your own dog and see your own dog in it, especially when your dog is dog friendly and your dog, they end up being like your foster pets in a way. I'm telling you, it hits differently. So I kind of see dog movies a little different now. I did end up posing with the Hachi statue. Don't worry. I also went to Shibuya, saw Godzilla, just looking up, gazing at me from above. It was very awesome. And I saw the tower. Oh my god, everything was awesome, as it says. Ooh, there's. And then I would have went more to Chamboko Booktown, but I don't think they had a lot of manga there. But it was nice going and all. And weirdly enough, shortly right after I went back to the hotel, I actually saw a Shiba Inu there, just waiting to be loved. And sorry, I couldn't take you home, like Hachi or family of Hachi or descendant of Hachi. But I really hope you do find a home. So you're near Akihabara Station. I hope someone did. If I could, I would have gotten you, but yeah, gave me a ton of feels. So then, and so after a while, we went to Osaka. Osaka, it was a pretty amazing place to be in too. We went to all the supermarkets. We went to all the the markets, and we had some street food. It was amazing. We ended up seeing a cat there. It's so interesting, I know. There, we just had like pretty much. So, like, I don't know, like Osaka was very different. Like, okay, So Osaka was more manageable to walk in the subways and all that. We actually went to there. Yeah, so yeah, I don't actually know how I ended up doing all that, right? So I will have to say this because almost an hour. Sorry. I will have to say, why not? Like, first of all, I have been through quite a bunch of things, but I have never been through a Japanese toilet. I tried to do it the traditional way. When I tried to do the traditional cleansing standard with the toilet, I cried. I shed tears. No joke. So what did I do to get used to it? I turned the pressure to the maximum standard. And then it got to a point where I stopped crying all the way down to my jawline to just all the way down to my to the tip of my nose. I don't even know how that's possible. That's gonna be an unreal experience. I actually thought to myself, I have been dogged in a way, like in a very, very fun, all grown way, and it didn't feel as bad as the toilets here. But I powered through it. And then another thing is out of all the things I filmed, it was trying to capture Japan from memories has been seriously one of the most difficult things to have done. Because, again, a lot of stuff didn't allow pictures and filming, probably to preserve all the material they have. And it was often crowded, and you couldn't like interrupt the flow at all. And when you didn't have those problems, everything was very small and narrow to fit into. And that was all the exciting stuff too. Other than that, I despite everything, I still I enjoy Japan. I think no, I know Japan is with certainty is one of the best places you'll ever go to. And if you don't, and I think if you know that and you appreciate it, even if you're like, even like someone like my family, my mom, that's gonna be petty because she thinks she's right about everything. So I think if you can appreciate it, I think that tells me everything that I need to know. And I'm pretty glad that I did, and it has been the best time of my life. And eventually, I think I there's a lot of things that happened in between that it's pretty much I can't really deny it any longer that after too many coincidences, it's not a coincidence anymore. And so I am accepting that probably what's probably going to happen to me soon is always ended up was a self-fulfilling prophecy, and all I've been doing is delaying the inevitable. And the truth is, I don't know everything. I'm just in the dark as the rest of you. And so whatever people are gonna find out, I have a feeling about, and I'm usually right about most of the time. I'm gonna be I'm gonna find out the same time as you do. And so again, I think I have found a lot of things I have ever done. I think that there's a difference between seeing it from the sidelines and then just being a part of the thing. And that's just something I kind of knew from the beginning when I was like trying to find out what I know now is that this part is always going to be true. You're always going to feel like someone is bigger and better than you and that you'll never reach that. But the one thing I never, ever, ever, ever felt is that I never thought that no matter how big you get, and no matter how long you've done it, and no matter how hard you try, there's always somebody that thinks that you have it better than them. And I I would love to call myself a YouTuber or an online influencer, but I'm that wouldn't be being real with you guys. In fact, I think being the online influencer was the best persona I've ever done, because what I actually do that the culture vultures think they are, it is like the online influencer was the perfect persona for all that. And because a lot of people think it's hiding in plain sight, it's there, and you think you can just trust everything. But you see, based on that, in just knowing what I know, I never ever would have expected, like, because I was always like underground and all that stuff type of stuff. I really didn't think, like, I'd ever be that person where somebody's like, I wish I was you. I never thought I'd ever be in that position. I also never ever thought that once I got like more well known, and then here, this is kind of the curse, and this is kind of why, these culture vultures that love to flex that they're detectives and commentators and investigators and vigilantes. It's a curse once you get all that exposure, because I noticed this too. Once you get very high profile, you pretty much will never ever be able to help people again. That's a fact. Because people that you're going up against, they know who you are, and they know your tactics, and they know like just how you function. And that's why all your stuff gets sabotaged or ended up failing as soon as you get like high profile. Like, it's a curse. Like, it is something like, it's like a trade-off. You either be like a vigilante or you be famous. That is like something I knew for sure. And so I would never ever expected that the bigger you, no matter how big you get, that you'd always be stuck in between in this dilemma where these people like wish they were you, and these people think that you're never going to be cut out for what it is. It's never, and it's like no matter, and it's like you can never ever make like there's something that not everyone's always gonna understand. And I just think to myself, and that's the thing, like these culture vultures really, really, really don't understand is that they'll never understand why they're not cut out for this. And that's because they just don't know. They don't know what it takes. And and that's kind of the point. Like, if you guys just did, like I got been, you guys think like you guys had it so hard and so bad. I've literally probably did like so much more than anyone does. I still graduated magna cum laude, debt free, by myself, first generation. I stood up and everything. All of us stood around and we all shedded tears. And I have like worked and still like we were actually like the number one highest scoring whatever, and I was making weekly videos that were still like, maybe not, they were still like something like that had somebody thinking I didn't waste my time. And that was on top of making daily like posts, daily pick, like somewhat occasional updates. I did all that. And some people think that they care about, and that's something I don't know if I don't know. This is the thing about this online sphere. I have seen like this social media evolve from the roots. I'm talking about back when, your idea of a live stream was expensive and impossible to do, that you had to pay to actually see. Now you can get it for free on TikTok whenever you want, and paying is an option. And I'm talking about back when videos were like a minute long and were like potato quality, 240 resolution. I'm talking about when It was the time where people sat in their chairs and talked to the camera for 10 minutes straight about whatever's on their mind. I have seen through that, and once they realized that it was becoming potential, these culture vultures come in and they try to make it corporate. And I'm not talking about just the people like, it's not like even the current ones. I mean, it has always been that way. You guys were the ones that signed to multi-channel networks. You guys were the ones that took sponsors, even the shady ones. You guys were the ones that left as soon as you got an offer from the mainstream. You guys left, and once you failed, you came crawling back to the platform. And we welcomed you with open arms. And guess what? Because of what you guys did, the current generation, we have to deal with your mess. We have to clean up your mess. We have to step it up. And we have to try and show, well, wait, you guys, what you guys didn't do, you guys blamed everybody else, but you guys didn't have what it takes because you didn't think ahead. You just thought of the now, and you just thought of all that. That was my hot take. And it's kind of crazy because now, seeing the state that it's going to, how people are just a shell of themselves, or they just gave up backwards so easily. Like, there's only a handful of people, like, those are the people that didn't like just gave up. And then there's people that were cut out for it. They just couldn't handle it. Like the mental toll that it took. And so I just, it's pretty interesting. I wasn't expecting my Japan trip and all that, but it is interesting. How like it is interesting to know what I know, and I really, I think that's, I feel one of the things I kind of feel the most is that, like, it's kind of crazy how not only do the current audience, they not only are jaded by the current stuff that they have, but they also know they feel like they're taken for granted. They feel like nowadays they're often given mindless slop where nothing happens. And I guess I got all I have to say to you guys is if that's how you feel, you don't have to take it like they did. It's a choice what they did. Everything that they do is a choice. Everything that they have is a privilege. And why the fuck, if they were able to do it, why couldn't you? So that was my point. Is like everything what I did was a privilege, and everything I did was a choice. And it's very telling, like everything. But you know what? It didn't. Nothing's getting ruined. Only if I let it get ruined for me. And going to Japan after all the crazy stuff that went down, especially the toilet, and especially the fact that everything is so clean. I definitely did shower. So hopefully you finally showered, and if you didn't, go back at least 20 minutes and take a shower. And it would be super dope if you use soap. And if you haven't done this yet, don't forget to pet your pet. And if you've done that already, this is an excellent time to go back and just shower and or exercise, work out. Yeah. So, I have to say, there, and it got real, right? Because normally I'd say, oh, yeah, well, I think maybe I did. I don't know. I get, like, kind of done trying to say the same things over and over and over and over and over again. I'm kind of doing that whole one note thing. Not to mention, if I'm still doing watch time, you guys are going to skip that part anyway. It's like, no. That's what you guys get. I get it. Mindless slop where nothing happened. But you got to give me a chance and not to prove that I'm not mindless slop where nothing happens, right? Oh God, I'm really sorry. That is going to take forever, but I will do my best. So. Yeah, it's interesting, right? Like I guess I really do appreciate that a lot of you guys are kind of seeing nowadays that I'm just like the whole humor of this online persona figure thing I do is like, the whole humor is that not only is it satirical, but it's also like I'm literally not like meant to be it. Like I am like a fish out of water kind of thing, or a bunny in a steakhouse, as I say, or something like that. But yeah, I guess that's a lot of the humor. But yeah, so I hope it has been anything but boring for you guys. So that was easy. That was a podcast, right? It's so easy anyone can do it, and I just did it again. So alrighty then. Stay safe until I see you guys again.